anyone can hear me. I'm just starting the live stream right now. So I'm just going to go into the chat here and see if there's anybody and if anyone can hear. But hopefully, we can get that sorted out here in a second here. Awesome. So, welcome to my very first live stream. This is my first live stream ever. So we just crossed 10K, which honestly is surreal. It means a lot to me. Before I continue here, I just want to make sure that the audio and video are coming through here. So if someone could just let me know in the chat if you are seeing anything, that would be excellent. I think I can go here. Oh, hear my feedback coming through. There we go. Awesome. Great. Perfect. Well, looks like we're live and the technology is working. So thank you for bearing with me. This is my first time doing this, so I'm not 100% tech savvy when it comes to live streams. Awesome. Thank you so much, Music Room 7185. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you as well, NTC 2023. Awesome. Well, so great to see you guys here. I just wanted to start this live stream by saying just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is kind of surreal to me. We crossed 10K. I started making videos here just under a month ago. And hello from Roswell, New Mexico. Amazing. Peanut Kinder. Amazing. Well, so great to have you as well. But lest I keep interrupting myself, I will just briefly say my thank yous, and then I appreciate all of the comments in the chat, and I'll be answering those as best as I can as this live stream continues. But really thank you to everybody for watching these videos, for commenting, for liking and subscribing and all of that. It's been amazing to be able to make videos about books, which I love. So I'm very grateful to be here. And today I wanted to, just really speak directly to you guys. And I didn't want to just make another video. I wanted to actually talk to you. So this is super informal. I want to talk about books, ideas, whatever's on your mind. Maybe let's just start with this. If there anyone in the chat has one book that actually changed the way you think, I'd love to hear. Drop it in the chat. I'm really curious what kind of people are here right now, what kind of readers we have, what books have changed you, what books you love. So if anybody wants to share a book that that's really changed the way they think, maybe while you guys think of that, I'll just share one for myself. So recently, not too long ago, I read The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes. This was a really beautiful, very short book that I really loved reading, and it really changed the way I think about life and, I guess, getting older, things changing, the sense of the impending next steps in life. And so Julian Barnes is a brilliant writer. I hope to discuss this book a little bit deeper in future, but that was one book that kind of changed the way I think. I don't know if anybody else has any recommendations or any books that they're really excited about. Hi from Buffalo. Great to see you. So glad. And for everyone just joining here, I know a lot of people are just coming in and out on the live stream. So I'll just say again, the purpose of this conversation here today is just really for me to say thank you to everyone for watching the videos. We crossed 10K in just under a month, which is really surreal. It's a huge blessing to me that so many people are interested in books and wanting to watch recommendations on books. I posted a poll in my community tab, it's a new feature that we just opened as well. So please do check that out if you haven't. You can go onto YouTube, and right next to the place where you can subscribe, it says community. And I'd love to hear from you. You guys can share your posts as well in the community, and you can also add if you have books that you want to recommend to other people. It would be amazing if we could create a community where everybody is recommending books, not just me. Hello from San Francisco Bay Area. Amazing. We got people coming from all over. That's like 3 corners of the United States, at least, we have right now. So that's fantastic. But yeah, I'd love to have people in the community tab. Thank you. That's amazing. Congrats on reaching 10K followers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Um, that is something that I did not expect, and I am very grateful for everybody watching all of these videos. I appreciate how open and yet concise you are. Also, you are calm and kind in demeanor, and that is helpful. Thank you very much, Terry Mobley. That is a very kind comment, and really that's my intention on this channel here. I don't want this to just be a place where I just ramble about books, although it kind of is in some ways. I want this to be a place where people feel open. They feel like you can share as well what books you love, and what books have changed you, and give recommendations. Honestly, one of the best things about this so far for me has been receiving hundreds of book recommendations of books I hadn't read, some I hadn't even heard of before, and knowing, wow, these guys are, some of the best, you know, readers honestly out there, and I am so blessed to have built that community so far. So, hello from Wyoming, hi from Canada. That's where I am right now, and hello from UK. Congratulations, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's amazing. Yeah, it's so cool to see people from all around the world as well. I've recently looking, and there were comments from India, comments from Australia, from the UK, from the United States, from all over. So it's really amazing the world that we live in today, where everything is so interconnected. I know it can be confusing and frustrating. I'm finding with myself as well sometimes when I'm looking at how to do all this technology, like even this live stream thing here. You're trying to figure it out, and it can be a little frustrating, but it is also a huge, just such a cool thing that we can communicate with people all around the world. Awesome. Congratulations. Keep up the book rambling. I'm so fortunate to have found this channel. Oh, thank you so much, Linda. That is very kind, and probably what I'll have to do, because I'm not really sure any other way of communicating my love for books other than constantly, there's 4 or 5 different tangents that my mind wants to go on, and I have to keep myself grounded here. Okay, this is what we're talking about right now. So, hello from England. I hope you are well today. I hope you are well too. Thank you so much. I'm glad to have a number of people from the UK today. I tried to do this live stream earlier our time, because I know a lot of people are watching from the UK, and that time zone difference can make it a little different. Hi from Wisconsin as well, and South Florida. Hello from South Florida. And for everybody just joining here again, this is my first ever live stream. We just crossed 10K, which honestly means a lot, and I'm so grateful for everybody just joining in here. So I wanted to make a chat where I kind of speak directly to you and hear a little bit about what you guys are thinking, what you guys are interested in, what you'd like to see more of moving forward, and honestly, the main purpose, just to get to know you and to talk books. That's what I want to do for the majority of this conversation here. I think I missed one here. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Tennessee, wow, amazing. Wisconsin, South Florida. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank God. It is at the end of the day to Him that we have to be grateful. So thank you so much for that beautiful comment, Gloria. Congratulations from South Georgia. Amazing. Awesome. That's so good. Yeah, just making tea when someone says they're, who is it? I don't know. Well, I'll show this. I can show these on very well. I was just about to make tea when I saw you were live. I have tea here as well. Congrats from Pennsylvania. Thank you so much. So actually, well, maybe you can't see because that is up here. There you go. I have a cup. This is my favorite mug. I received this as a gift years ago, and it's famous first lines from classic novels. So all around this, we have some of the most iconic opening lines. If you really want to hear about it, the first thing you'll probably want to know is where I was born and what my lousy childhood was like, and how my parents were occupied and all that before they had me, all that David Copperfield kind of crap. But I don't feel like getting into it if you want to know the truth. Don't know if anyone knows where that one comes from. Any guesses? But no? Okay. That one is I, Claudius is one of my favorites. That's a good one. Yeah, great book. Nope. That one comes from The Catcher in the Rye. Fantastic opening. Marley Was Dead to begin with, from A Christmas Carol by Dickens. You have the opening of Fahrenheit 451, It Was a Pleasure to Burn, the opening of The Great Gatsby. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Anyways, I went on a bit of a tea tangent there, but this is a really cool mug that I've had for a while. All these classic, yes, Catcher in Their Eye, correct, correct. I, Claudius, one of your favorites, says Peanut Kinder. I actually have never read I, Claudius, so this is one of the best things about this channel for me. You knew that I hadn't read it? Oh no, you knew that it was Catcher in Their Eye. Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah, so this is one of the coolest things about building a community like this. So many of you guys are just so well read. You've read probably more than I have, a lot of people, and I get so many fantastic book recommendations just from people's comments. And so for anyone watching videos, I'd recommend, even more than just watching the video, go down into the comments section and read what everyone's writing, because so many people are sharing beautiful stories of their lives, as well as sharing recommendations of books that you might love. And my recommendations might not be your taste, might not be your cup of tea, but maybe theirs will, right? On that particular video. Because I'm pretty eclectic in my tastes, which I totally understand and appreciate. So not every video is going to be maybe the right recommendations for everybody. And I'll try to caveat that where I can, but that is important. Congratulations from Costa Rica. That's amazing. Muchísimas gracias. I'm glad to have some people from Costa Rica here. That's so cool. Yeah, because I'm so young. That's correct. Yes, a lot of people have read a lot more, because even if even if I read more books per year, you've read more years per book. I don't know, that doesn't really make sense. More years to read books. Yes, it would be fun to customize that kind of a mug. I'd love to have one. I mean, it's probably pretty easy to make, a mug that is my favorite opening lines, or my favorite closing lines, or my favorite quotes from literature. Maybe I'll have to make one of those one of these days, and see if anyone's interested. Could buy the Benjamin's mug or whatever. A Christmas Carol, yes, yes, yes. Let's see. Missed some comments here. And again, if I miss reading your comment, it sometimes goes a little bit fast here, so please know I'm reading them as quickly as I can. Oh, The Shadow of the Wind. Yes, someone, or that was much earlier, recommended that one. Zafon is amazing. I mean, I actually haven't read the entire series, but the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, such a cool idea. If you're really looking for a series of books that is super gripping, in particular the first one, like super great, that is really about books. I mean, The Book Thief is a great one. That's one, it's not a series, but The Book Thief, a book about books. And The Shadow of the Wind, another one, a book about books, right? A book about forgotten books. And I think that's such a cool idea. I wish I could remember exactly where this comes from to attribute it correctly, but there's a famous, maybe one of you guys will remember this, but someone famously said that many books are unduly forgotten, but no book is unduly remembered. And I always thought that was interesting, because there's a lot of books out there that there's a part of me that wants to criticize, right? And part of me wants to say, yeah, that's a terrible book. Why does anyone read that? Why does anyone bother? But every book that's remembered, it resonated with some component of the human experience. Someone, resonated with it. I'm not saying they're all equally valuable, but every book that is remembered is for a reason. But there are many, many books that are forgotten that probably we would be wise to remember, or if we found them again, we would learn more about the human experience, which is really why we read. Right? We want to learn about the range of the human experience, which is such a beautiful thing to be able to do. And so I think that is why the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, that idea resonates with us, right? There are so many books that should be remembered and they aren't. So anyways, yes, one of my favorites. Oh, I haven't read that one. That looks like an interesting one as well. Very engrossing. Yes, a lot of people talking about Shadow of the Wind. That's awesome. Yeah, there's so many great book recommendations, and some people saying too they read all of the comments, which I think is amazing. It's so cool to be able to read the comments and get more insights. And for anybody just joining right now, we have a lot more people who've just come in recently. I just want to reiterate quickly that this is a really an appreciation video. We just passed 10K. And it means a lot that you guys are liking and subscribing, commenting so much, and sharing so deeply on all the videos, and I think that's just super beautiful. Um, Music Room 7185. I play piano at a nursing home on Wednesdays, so I have to run now. Okay, well that's amazing. Wow, that's so beautiful. When I was in high school, actually, we did uh, well, I didn't play piano. Mostly I played guitar when we went there, but I went to a music school actually, like a fine arts school, a going to an old folks home, and we would share different music pieces that we'd been working on. So I think that's such a beautiful thing to do. Really good for you, Music Room. I don't know what your name is, but you're a blessing to those people, and I think that's such a beautiful thing to do. Amazing, amazing. Yes, the comments absolutely. Sometimes I think often they're more entertaining than the video. So I'll put that up here so everyone can see what I'm responding to. Read all the comments, they can be as entertaining as the video. I'd say probably more entertaining in many cases. I laugh out loud at a lot of comments. And one thing I want to say too quickly is, you guys are amazing with the comments. They've been so overwhelmingly positive. I know a lot of people say on the internet, on YouTube, don't read the comments because it's going to be a barrage of negativity. And I've never experienced that, right? They're almost, with very few exceptions, all the comments just have been so warm. People just sharing books they love. They might disagree. It might be a little heated, but coming from a good place. So I think that's amazing. Do you read other things besides fiction? Actually, I do, yes. So I read a lot more nonfiction than I read fiction, believe it or not. Probably 60/40, or on some years 70/30, I would say. 70%, 30%. If you take all, biographies, memoirs, textbooks, pamphlets, whatever, growth and spirituality, all those kind of books together, I would definitely read more than I would read, fiction books. But my first love is probably fiction. Do you have any biographies, any favorite suggestions? Recently, I've been in a Walter Isaacson phase. I think he's amazing. I think his, Da Vinci biography is beautiful. I really liked, obviously, Einstein. I'm a huge fan of Einstein, and that biography is really cool. He did a Jobs biography as well, Steve Jobs. He did a biography on Benjamin Franklin. That's a really good one. Highly recommend. Yes. So, sorry, I'll share that comment there. So, favorite biographies. And I would say right now, again, Isaacson, in terms of my absolute favorites of all time, oh man, there's a lot. Um, it depends what you're looking for, right? There's Ray Monk, I think, has a really interesting biography on Ludwig Wittgenstein. It's maybe a little bit more niche if somebody's looking for something like that. Um, you know, eh, I don't know if I can make a list. I'd have to think about this a lot to create a list of my favorite biographies, but maybe that would be a good video idea. Let me know in the chat if you guys would be interested in a video like that, exploring, top biographies, exploring, maybe memoirs or nonfiction books that are worth reading. I think I've talked a little bit about some nonfiction, like A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I think I touched on that in one video. Tuesdays with Maury is based on a real experience, obviously one of the best sellers. Really beautiful story. I had it lent to me by a family friend, so that was one I really enjoyed. Yeah, some people saying they love the Franklin biography. Oh, somebody says, oh, I love this one. I don't comment much. I'm sorry for sharing your comment, but I thought it was beautiful because I'm usually watching videos like yours while sitting back and oh no, that wasn't the part that I wanted to share. There's a second one. Sharing your, but that's beautiful too. That's beautiful too. Um, oh, Boswell's Life of Johnson. Yes, yes, yes. All upteen volumes. I have not read all upteen volumes, but I have read some components of Boswell's Life of Johnson, and it's very, very much worth reading too. I think that, yeah, some people saying they'd love some biographies and memoir books. Okay, I'll definitely have to add that to the list and do that. Reading is such a beautiful thing, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. So I think I'll definitely expand a little bit here in the future and make some nonfiction videos too. I don't want to just be doing fiction. I'll talk a little bit about why I decided to start with fiction and my love of fiction in just a second here, but I think there's just a couple comments here that I wanted to address. Yes, I sent your video about children's books to my kids and my grandkids for my grandkids. Thank you. That's amazing. That's so good. Yes, I think that is one of beautiful things about children's books, The Wind in the Willows in particular for me was a way for me to reconnect, or I wouldn't say reconnect, not like we were disconnected, but to really deeply connect with my grandmother. And we had a little family book club and we read that book. So that was really beautiful. And I highly recommend using that, using those children's books if you can to rekindle relationships with the different generations or deepen those relationships or just share the books you loved and hopefully that love will pass on. So yeah, congrats on 10K. Thank you again so much. And for anyone just joining here, that's a big part of this is just thanking all of you guys for being a part of me or a part of this process with me of watching videos and really yeah, connecting on a deep level here. So I'm curious again, now that we have a few more people in the chat, I said at the beginning, I'm curious, to kind of find out what kind of people are here, what your interests, what kind of books you love. Children's books are for everyone. Couldn't agree more. So let me ask, what is one book that actually changed the way that you think? Anyone have any books that really changed the way they think? Any books that, you know, really are still resonating with you? Let's put it that way. Any books that stay with you longer than you expected? They're still with you. They change the way you think. As I drink from my mug here, which is all of the first lines of classic books. Thought it's such a cool mug there. So if anyone wants to add in the chat, if you have any books, it doesn't even have to just be books that you, Lord of the Flies. Wow. Yes, that's a great one. And I haven't actually talked about that yet, but Lord of the Flies is definitely one that a lot of people are forced to read in school. That's how a lot of people are introduced to it. But I think it's worth reading. It's one of those books that stays with you for a reason. The Dean's Watch. I've never read it. No, that sounds interesting. I have to add that one to the list as well. There's as I said, an ever-growing list. One of the big ones, The Phantom Tollbooth, was recommended so many times on the children's my first children's book video, and yeah, that's great. Oh, somebody asks, how long have I been making my videos? So actually, this has been very, very short period of time. The videos have been made for, I think the first video I posted was less than a month ago, which is why I honestly, I'm just super grateful. I didn't even really believe it was possible for this to grow to 10,000 people in this community, and some videos, hundreds of thousands of people watching, which is like, it's just amazing to see how many people love books. I didn't expect this. And so you guys are rekindling my, or reinforcing my belief that, people are there's a lot of fundamentally great people out there, which is awesome. Anyways, back to a lot of these recommendations because these are great. Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. Okay, amazing. One of my favorite biographies, Agent Josephine by Josephine Baker. Interesting. Yes, I haven't read that one, but that one has come up before in my recommendations. David Copperfield, of course. David Copperfield. So many life lessons. That's a great. What's that one? I think it's something like income 20 pence, spending 21 pence, life of misery. Income 20 pence, spending 19 pence, like is a good life, or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's those kind of quotes in it, right? Where it's like spending less than you make or something like that. But there's so much life wisdom in Dickens, David Copperfield. Such a great, it's semi-biographical, right? It's so Charles Dickens, CD, and then David Copperfield, DC. It's kind of a twist on him, and it's based on a lot of his early years. So very cool. All right, there's a bunch more here. Can't think of one that changed my life, but I do have favorites. Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Gibbon. Absolutely. Absolutely. I haven't read the entire thing because it's like a gazillion pages, although I probably would read the entire thing at some point in my life. But that's one, yes, that is absolutely revolutionary. Changed so many things. Just basically history books haven't been the same since that. I like the little libraries people put in their yard to trade books. Yes, yes, I love those as well. Those are beautiful when you have those little books that we've read, maybe that we're not so interested in keeping, but you want to pass on to other people. So important. The Chronicles of Narnia, Harry Potter, The Bridge to Terabithia. Yes, 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 yes. So many wonderful book series. And this is one of the things that, just a little bit about me with my love for literature. I love the fact that there are so many different kinds of books that are still so meaningful for different people. So, I know I can be a little eclectic, I think I said before, but I love Shakespeare. I love, I think that, what a lot of critics say about Shakespeare, that he invented the modern human, right? I think it's true. His way of thinking really changed how we think about, what it is to be human. So did so many of these other great poems, whether we're talking about Homer or Ovid, or whether we're talking about Milton or Dante. And at the other end of this, I don't know if it's the end of the spectrum, but modern classics like Harry Potter and a little bit older ones like Narnia and Lord of the Rings, these are amazing, amazing books that, I love just at the same level, though very different. So, yes, John Wyndham, I guess is the correct pronunciation. Yes, yes, yes. Very good. Yes, that's a great sci-fi or dystopian work as well. Very beautiful. Wuthering Heights has stayed with me for decades. Such a tragic and complex view of human relations. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think I've talked about Wuthering Heights yet. I took her sister and talked about Jane Eyre first, but Wuthering Heights is definitely one that I'll have to talk about moving forward. Um, yes, yes, yes. Amazing. Amazing. My 94-year-old mom and I listened to your podcast on The Little Prince. She mentioned how she is so touched by his dedication to his friend. Yes. That is a beautiful novel or book. And I think I think that The Little Prince is you know, it's one of those books that I read probably every year. And I think it's great to have some of those books in your register, right? You're just rereading and reading them. These are amazing, amazing, amazing comments. Yes. Um, Anyone have any recommendations, any book recommendations of books that you think everyone should read? That you're like your top books, the ones that you think should be mandatory reading for anyone? Um, uh, Storm says, "Who is the author of Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire? See so many titles." William Gibbon. William Gibbon is the author of the one that was referred to before. I'm sure there are many remakes of that as well, um, because it was such a seminal work. The Velveteen Rabbit, yes, yes, I agree. That is one I think everyone should read. Such a touching story, and it's important to have. A lot of these ones are probably going to be children's books too, right? There's a short story by Oscar Wilde called The Happy Prince. Loved it. Also Dante's Divine Comedy. Yes, different ends of the spectrum. A short story and an epic poem. I love it. I love it. Those are both great. Yeah, I threatened to go a little bit on a Oscar Wilde fanboy session before, in one of my previous videos, and he is just amazing. His range, right? He can write The Importance of Being Earnest on one hand, so witty, so fun, a comedy of errors, and then on the other end of the spectrum, he can write The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is deep and philosophical. So amazing. From children's lit, The Island of the Blue Dolphin, and another book called The House of 60 Fathers. I've never read The Island of the Blue Dolphin, and that is one that I've written down on my list. Actually, I started to compile a list based on your comments, and I have now dozens of books, which is amazing that I need to read. But the problem is finding the time to read all these books, and so that's amazing. Oh, great to see you, brother. Yes, that's amazing. Yes, made it late, but nice to see everyone. Fantastic, fantastic. And again, thank you everyone who's consistently been commenting and supporting this channel. Um, you know, it means the world. People just the best way to support at this point is just continuing to watch, like and subscribe and leave comments, and that's amazing. But also those of you who have been supporting me financially too, like you guys are amazing. I never would have even considered this as something I could do other than just a small hobby after work. And that support is kind of changing my mind a little bit. I mean, I'm not there yet, but moving forward, I'd love to explore what this could look like. So thank you so much for that support. I really, really appreciate it. Yes, The Island of the Blue Dolphin. Yes, that one I definitely have to read. It says it's short too, so that's really good. It's great to have short books. Um, I have not read Hatchet, no, but that one is also on the list. Honestly, um, if you ever feel like you're well read or you've read a lot of books, my recommendation is start a community with a lot of other readers, and you'll realize very quickly that even if you read hundreds of books a year, you're always so many more books that you haven't read that you should read compared to the amount that you have read. So that'll be enough to humble you and make you realize there's so much more to read about the human experience, and you're never going to get all the way there. Yes, again, congrats on 10K. Thank you so much, and thank you to all of you again for those of you joining. That's really why we're here today. Just an appreciation for all of this. I always recommend the Wednesday Wars. Yes, that one's good. And Rats of Actually don't know what that one is, the second one, but looks interesting. Okay, I'll have to read this. Yes, always give mice of men and men. We got to do a whole deep dive into Steinbeck moving forward. I think that's a big thing that has to happen because he's amazing, and so many of his books. I mean, the short ones too, the long ones. The Count of Monte Cristo. That's the one I have right there. I'm rereading this right now, and it's so entertaining. I love it. One of the embarrassing recommendations, I guess, that I have. I don't think it should be embarrassing, for the record, whenever you haven't read a classic book or something like that. It really shouldn't be. There's so many classics, you'll never have read them all. But one that I wish I'd read, that I should have read, that I know the story very well, but yet I haven't read the original, is The Three Musketeers. I've read The Man in the Iron Mask, which is based on part of the sequel that Dumas wrote, and of course The Count of Monte Cristo, which I'm rereading. But many people recommending The Three Musketeers. I'm like, I read the children's like abridged version when I was a kid, but I've never read the full thing. So yes, To Kill a Mockingbird. Yes, 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 very good as well. There is a world of books indeed. Don Quixote is a must-read, so funny and so comforting in a way that humanity essentially doesn't change in what we find a good read and good humor. Yes, that is so true. Now, with books like Don Quixote, a lot of people ask questions about translation and the importance of having this, finding the right translation for classic books. I think it's a different calculus that we use when we're looking for, say, a translation from the Russians. I don't speak Russian, so that's different. I do speak Spanish, so I can speak a little on a different level, I guess, when it comes to what a translation would look like there. But at the end of the day, I really think just finding a readable translation of Don Quixote is my recommendation for most people. There are lots of considerations. I'm not I'm not saying it's the only thing, because it's so important to just connect with that story. It's a timeless story. It's so fun, and it's amazing. Ooh. Says I'm trying to reconnect here, so if you guys can still hear me, let me know. Looks like there might be a little bit of a lag, but hopefully that doesn't cause too many problems. Yes, the Pearl Mice and Men have already ordered them. Amazing, amazing. Okay, that's awesome. Unusual Ideas, read Sabriel. Okay, that looks great. Young adult fantasy novel set up in the most unusual world I've seen created for fantasy. It's the first in the Old Kingdom series. Okay. Okay, I can hear you. Fantastic. Good, good. People saying they can hear. Hello. Hello, Wendy. Amazing seeing some people joining now. I'm sure a lot of people may be joining a bit late. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is amazing and so exciting that we've crossed 10,000 people that are subscribed to this channel, and so many of you that are regular viewers that watch all the time, and I do not take that for granted at all. This is a huge blessing to me. So amazing. Yeah. Three Musketeers, very good book as well. Amazing. Amazing. Invisible Man, yes, Ralph Ellison. I have to talk about that one in the future. That's a great recommendation as well. Amazing. Shrinking Man. I'm trying to scroll back here and see if I missed. I'm sure I missed a few, so I'm sorry if I didn't call up the recommendations that you guys gave. All of these so far are amazing. Great recommendations. Frankenstein, yes, of course, of course. Is there any book? Yeah, I like this question. I'm going to put this up. Is there any book that you were forced to study at school and hated, but grew to love later? Ooh, that's a good question. Any book that I was forced to study that I hated that later I grew to love? Hmm. You know, there isn't one that really comes to mind. I know for a lot of my friends, that book was 1984, where they were forced to read it and they didn't really enjoy it so much. And then later on, that book became, one of their favorites. Um, there was one that I was forced to read called Uglies that maybe I didn't love so much, but I don't know if I would say I love it now. Maybe I can appreciate it a little more, but at the time, maybe I was a little like, the angsty kid. I was a little more, oh, this isn't a real classic or something like that. And then I grew to love a lot of coming of age, young adults books, and now like The Hunger Games and some of those books are honestly some of my favorites. They're really enjoyable. I reread them. So maybe that was one that I changed my mind on, but yeah, I don't know if there was one that I really yeah, hated. Got a kick out of your April Fool's video. I'm so glad to hear that. I was worried about that one a little bit. I was like, I wonder if everyone will appreciate the joke, and I would say the vast majority of people really enjoyed it. Some people maybe didn't fully get the joke, but I hope that came across there. Started reading notes from the underground in Spanish, but switched to English. Much better reading experience. Yes, so some books that are translated from other languages you could read in any language that you're fluent in, but I think a lot of times, just because of how dominant English is, the best translations or the most types of translations you can choose from can be in the English language. Particularly a book like Notes from Underground, it's really highly read in the English speaking world. It's also read in the Spanish speaking world, but it's more of a new classic in Latin America relative to how long it's been adored in the United States and England. So that might be why there's a bit better translation or a better reading experience, but it could also just be your familiarity with English is better. Anyways, I'm gonna go back up here. I missed a few. Glad I came across your channel. Thank you so much. Um, yes, a number of people sharing books that they hated that then they came on to love later. Someone says, I love 1984. Me too. Me too. I love 1984. Yes. Would love to hear about authors who wrote one great book and then nothing else that approaches it. Mm, that is a really great question. If you ask Hemingway, he would say that the best example is F. Scott Fitzgerald, right? He wrote The Great Gatsby. It's like essential reading, a lot of people's favorite book. It's one of my close friends' favorite books. I recommended it to him in high school, and he still loves it. Honestly, for a period of time, it was probably up there for me. It's still one of the books that I love the most. And I don't think Fitzgerald ever really wrote anything as good. The way Hemingway wrote about it is he said that Fitzgerald had the talent to be a great writer, but he only wrote one book because he didn't write enough. Because of Zelda, he blamed Zelda partly, that relationship. Fitzgerald's lifestyle and a lot of other things that kind of got in the way of him sitting down and actually writing a great work, which is really interesting. And there are a lot of other books, but maybe we'll just use that one as one example for now. That I think that's a great book, a great writer who wrote one great book that maybe nothing else has really approached, in my opinion. Now, some people might disagree, but his other books feel more superficial, right? The Beautiful and the Damned, This Side of Paradise. It's like, yeah, they're not. He writes great sentences. He never stops writing great sentences, but the depth of the story in The Great Gatsby for me is much higher. A fun autobiography is Dolly Parton. Wow, yeah, that would be amazing. I'd love to do some autobiographies too. I mean, I know the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin as well. Do I speak Spanish? Yes, I do. I actually lived in Mexico for a year, so that was part of my language learning experience, and that's one of the reasons I love literature too. I use books that I've reread, like Harry Potter, many times, and I try to read them in languages that I'm trying to learn, if I'm trying to learn a language or something. And I always recommend this to people as well. It's not really the goal of this channel here, so much the language learning, but if you are wanting to learn a language, I'd highly recommend the kind of kill two birds with one stone approach. Read a book that you've read, reread, and loved, and really know cover to cover in the language that you're trying to learn. and you get to reread the book and you get to kind of learn the language. And even if you don't understand every word, you can kind of go through it, which is amazing. Oh, Harper Lee is another example. Yeah, Harper Lee, another example. Truman Capote, I wonder if we could put him up there as well. No, he's got a couple books that are really good. Yeah. He's got at least one nonfiction book, um, and at least one fiction book, of course. So, yeah, that's interesting. Um, it's interesting what we consider to be a great work and not a great work. Sometimes, it's ones that people, whatever you love, could be considered a great work, in my opinion. Retired high school librarian, two nonfiction books for readers, Left for Dead and Into Thin Air. Oh yes, I've read Into Thin Air. Yes, and not Left for Dead though. April Fool was great. Francis King. Okay. Um, yes. Oh, The Scarlet Letter. Yes. Did you mention in a video that you are writing a novel? I did mention that. Um, I've on my Substack, I've posted a couple of my writings. So if anyone's interested in checking out any of my writings, please feel free to subscribe to my Substack. You can find the link on the main YouTube page. And my plan for the Substack moving forward is is not for it to just be a place where I put my books and the books or the my writings and the things that I'm working on, but also a place where I go maybe a bit deeper. A lot of people want the book recommendations and all of that on the YouTube, but having a place where you can also get I might, create a list of my all-time favorite books or something that, you can get emailed to you, or some more deep dives. I'm still working on starting that. And my plan, a lot of people have asked me if I would consider starting a book club moving forward. So that's something that I've been considering. Again, if anyone's interested in something like that, let me know. I'd be very interested to know if you guys would be interested in a book club going a little bit deeper into some of these books. But also, lastly, coming back to answering that question properly, yes, I am working on on a novel. The first novel I wrote really, hopefully, will never see the light of day. That was a learning experience, and I'm not sure it's salvageable. It might be salvageable, but it probably takes a lot of rewriting to get that one. Um, and yes, the second one, or the second the second completed one, is one I'm working on editing right now. So hopefully that will be published in the not too distant future. But oops. But yes, for the time being, that is just in the writing phase. So I don't have any deadlines or times that I can say it'll be ready by this date. But hopefully I'll be able to get my butt into gear and actually get that finished. Have you heard the conspiracy theory that Harper Lee helped Truman Capote write In Cold Blood, or the reverse, that he helped her with To Kill a Mockingbird? You know, I have. I've heard of that. I don't. I'm not really. I haven't really gone too deep into it. Um, and yeah, that's an interesting question. Yes to a book club. Okay, great. Good to know that some people are interested in that. Um, yeah, so I haven't heard that conspiracy too deeply, but definitely one that I would love to read a little bit more about. I know they were close friends, and I know there was some, watching biographies of Capote, amazing. There's some films that do a really good job of depicting his life. He definitely felt frustrated by the fact that Harper Lee achieved such success in her writing when he felt that he was the more kind of literary genius guy type. And I'll let you guys be the judge of what you think. I don't want to tell people one way or the other. There's only one way. But yeah, As I Lay Dying. Yes, that's a great book as well. My favorite nonfiction book, Isaac Storm by Eric Larson. Yes, that one is one that I've been meaning to read for a long time. Really love to. I read the English version of Little Prince, and then the French Le Petit Prince in French. Yes, it's so much better in French. I agree. Yes, I only own the French version, but I have read it in both languages as well. But yes, it's his sentences are just so beautiful, and that kind of there's certain tenses that don't really translate well from French and also Spanish into English that add this feeling of loftiness or mystical, like wistus. What word am I looking for? Adds a more kind of whimsical feel. So yes, the first book I ever read in German was Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile. Wow, yes, fantastic for building your vocab. Absolutely, I can imagine. I'd love to start using some of these books to learn German in the future. So good, yes. Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay, Nicholas Sparks books. Yes. So Nicholas Sparks is another writer that I know my grandmother is a big fan. I've only read The Notebook, so I haven't read enough of his works to really say a lot, but honestly, very enjoyable and definitely breaks your heart. So that guy shouldn't do that to people, right? Um, am I a teacher? We need good male teachers. I'm not a teacher. My sister is a teacher, and both my parents were in education. So I guess I come from a family of teachers. My background's actually in the sciences, but I took a couple of educational detours, and both of them were related to literature and writing, creative writing. Um, so that's why I guess I started this channel really. And a lot of people ask, if I why I started this, and I think the main reason, if I'm being just honest, is ever since I was a kid, what I loved to do was just talk about books. And so this is based on a couple of conversations I had with people about rediscovering your inner child and finding the thing that you love to do, the thing that you would would do if you could just do anything. And if money and time wasn't a problem. And so I thought, I love talking about books, so I'll see what happens and talk about books for a little bit. And so that's kind of where this started. So yeah, thank you for the question. I absolutely loved reading Stoner by John Williams. Williams he's like one of the best undiscovered writers who's now very popular, I would say, in the literary like book talk, booktube kind of world. A lot of people talk about Stoner. I've heard less people talking about Butcher's Crossing, but that is a beautiful book in my opinion. Very dark, of course, but very interesting look. Kind of the gritty western. There's a whole genre. Larry McMurtry, um, obviously famous, Lonesome Dove, and Blood Meridian, like a lot of those kind of books. Very dark, of course. Not necessarily ones I'd recommend for everyone, but that Butcher's Crossing could be kind of in that category. But the way Williams writes is just gorgeous. And Stoner is another one, not as dark, but um, it's a very kind of unknown book that's now become more popular. It's amazing to see how the internet is allowing these. It's like back to the cemetery of forgotten book things we were talking before. How the internet has allowed these books that were unduly forgotten to be remembered, and people are now rediscovering these amazing works that maybe only sold 1 or 2 thousand copies. And then now they're very popular again. So that's amazing to see. Yes, another person says another favorite, Lonesome Dove. Stoner. Yes, yes. As I Lay Dying offers diverse voices. Yes, we got to talk more about Faulkner moving forward. Honestly, a great place to start with Faulkner, in my opinion, is to just start at the beginning with his short stories, because Faulkner is such a great writer, but a lot of times it can be overwhelming, because he's not an easy writer to read. And so A Rose for Emily, Barn Burning, there's a bunch of short stories that are so impactful and will stay with you for years, for the rest of your life, really. And they're only a few pages. And and yes, just joining, yes to book club. Okay, amazing. More book club enthusiasts. That's so cool. Yeah, because I really, you know, my passion, like what I really love is going super deep and nerding out about one book and some of the themes and whatnot. But in order to get there, we live in a world that is not reading as much. And so I think one of the best things I can do with my time and my interest is help encourage people to read again. But I also want to go deeper. And so I'd love to have both sides of that, right? To be able to make videos that are more popular, that people watch and they want to learn about books, and then deeper dives that we do with a more kind of intimate community that's really wanting to go super deep into books. So that would be amazing. Um, I would love for you to talk about classics that are not well known. Yes. Yes. I mean, that's interesting. There's a lot of classics that are becoming well known. So that might be an interesting video, like 10 classics that are starting to be rediscovered, and then some classics that maybe are super canonical, like everyone recognizes them as a classic, but people don't um, really understand them or read them as much. And then maybe ones that should be classics that in my opinion, should be classics. That would be really interesting. Yes, I read twice a day, every day. Can't live without it. That is such a great point, and thank you for sharing that. The reason that we read, it's like breathing for the soul, right? You have to read. Reading is so important. It gives you this feeling of being alive, this feeling of connection with others. And reading twice a day is a great antidote to a lot of the modern maladies of the world, a lot of ailments, of sadness and distance and loneliness. So I highly recommend reading. When buying a book, how do you decide hardcover or paperback? That's an interesting question. Um, Sometimes it just depends on like how the book is going to look in my library. I don't really have a total library right now. I'm just in the process of moving, so everything's kind of a little all over the place. But if it looks like the cover that might look better, probably would be the one I would lean towards. Hardcovers, I lean away from them more, if I'm going to be honest. Even though I understand they're better, like in libraries, like the way they look, just because I read my books a lot, I move them a lot, and hardcovers take up more space, and I just have so many books. But honestly, the way I make the decision is just books that I know are like I love, and I've maybe listened to them on audio or I've read them on Kindle or something, and I want to own a physical copy, or I own a copy already, a paperback, but I want to get a nice collector's edition, then I'll probably go with a hardcover. Did anyone besides me actually enjoy the Canterbury Tales? I loved it. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I moved all my books away. Otherwise, I would have it that I could pull up and we could read a couple of bits from it. But yes, the Canterbury Tales. Honestly, I'd recommend reading it like short stories for many people. It's got a framed narrative and then all these shorter stories. So just pick one up and read like you could even go online and get a PDF of some of the top short stories or segments of the Canterbury Tales. Read one, see if you like it. Obviously, reading it in Middle English might be difficult, but finding a good translation could be amazing. It's a great book. Do I read any Stephen King? I do. In fact, I must do a video at some point of my top 10 or maybe I could probably read a few more than 10 Stephen King novels. I think he's amazing. I mean, his book on writing in particular is such an important book for writers. And all of his fiction work, like he's got such range, so fun. The way he writes about himself in his book on writing, he says, one can be a good writer or a great writer. He said, I'm a good writer. I'm not a great writer. A great writer is someone like Fitzgerald or someone who can just write, the most, Hemingway or Steinbeck, right? Someone who can just write and you're like, wow, this guy's got a talent. But Stephen King says most writers are good writers, which means you have to learn the skills of writing. What tools do I need to use? How do I write? What do I need to avoid? Right? And those are where all the rules come in. And so he writes a great book about the rules, not overusing adjectives, that kind of stuff, right? He references Strunk and White, based on E.B. White, their book, The Elements of Style, a lot of other great books. But anyways, yes, Stephen King, I think he's one of the great storytellers, right? The way he just comes up with amazing story ideas like 3 times a year, and he publishes like 3 of them, which is crazy. So, yes, we must do a Stephen King deep dive at some point. Another few people saying book club, book club. Okay, we'll have to get. I'll get on that. I'll do the best that I can here. I read ebooks now because I can search them, but if I really love a book, I'll buy a hardcover to keep. I read ebooks, I read audiobooks, I read paperback and hardcover. I'm really not discriminating when it comes to that. I think whatever book you want to read, you should read. The best books to read are the books that you love, right? Um, Sorry, the best way to read is the way that you best can, I guess is the best way to put that. And we shouldn't look down on people who read in different ways. I mean, a Kindle can be super accessible. You can take it 1,000 books in your pocket, right? A audiobook, actually, so many people thought they weren't readers, and then they discovered audiobooks and they realized, I'm a reader. I'm more of an audio learner. So it's so important to have both of those options available. Anyone else read and enjoyed The Idiot by Dostoevsky? Loved it. Yeah, The Idiot was my second Dostoevsky read. He's great. He's great. I mean, The Idiot, honestly, it's probably his major work that is the most least talked about, right? Everyone talks about Brothers Karamazov and Crime and Punishment. Those are probably the most talked about Dostoevsky books, as well as Notes from Underground because it's short but also very deep. And then I would say one layer below that is probably Demons and the Idiot are a little, but still considered is very famous. Audiobooks are great when you have housework or other chores to do, absolutely. Or when I'm garden, I love gardening too. When I'm working in the yard, gardening, that kind of thing. I think it's so great. Such a great option to have, really, for everyone. Someone says, enjoy the Canterbury Tales. Yes, yes. Ebooks, because you can search. Yes, okay. Yeah. No, sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments here. These are fantastic. Thank you guys so much for all these great comments, all this great insights and engagement here. Someone says they really like Lolita. Yes, I agree. The lottery, another one. The cowboy and the Cossack. Yes, yes, interesting. Um, yes, and actually a number of people here saying Lolita is their favorite. The Sound and the Fury, another Faulkner one. Um, yes, and based on the famous Shakespeare line in Hamlet. Yes, that's right. Okay, I was like, did I get that right? Sound and the Fury. Actually, it has a biblical precedent too. But anyways, without that tangent, Lolita, very interesting book. A lot of people, I think, are scared away from this book because they are concerned that it's what it's promoting. But obviously, it's not written to promote anything bad. It's supposed to be read as like, oh wow, how we can justify different things if we get inside the mind of someone who is doing things that are immoral. And I think this is a really interesting exploration in literature. The guys or the characters that are like anti-heroes, or we love them, but we absolutely, if we take a step back, we're like, what they're doing is so immoral, so important to explore those ideas, because it reminds us how easy a lot of things can be justified, how easily we can justify a lot of things that are not moral. Anyways, we won't go on that tangent. That's just one that I saw come up a few times. Definitely something that should be explored in future videos. Someone says they can't do audiobooks, the mind wanders. That's totally fair. A lot of people feel, that audiobooks are the right way, or they want to go the other direction. They want to read only physical. Whatever works for you, man. The most important thing is reading. My best friend has written a couple of books and only self-published, given to friends and family, protective of stories. Yes, everyone I think is protective of their own stories, but at a certain point, I think if you want to be a writer, or if you want to create content or really anything, you have to put it out in the world and say, this is no longer mine. This is something that I'm giving to the world. And I think there's a certain point that needs to happen. Yes, yes, Lolita is upsetting. Yes. Inside the mind of a sociopath. That's the point, right? That's the point. For classics, I have to give a shout out to one of my favorite authors ever. Goethe? Is that supposed to be Goethe? Maybe? Anyways, interesting. If it is Goethe, then yes, absolutely. Another classic, another classic. Amazing. So I have a few more minutes here, guys, before I have to head out here actually, because I have a few things to do here today. But thank you so much for everyone joining. I'm really curious if anyone has any questions for me, just to kind of round this out with a quick Q&A session. I'd love to hear if you guys have any quick questions, based on your readings, on your interests, or any recommendations moving forward. If anyone has anything that they'd love to see with regards to books, yeah, Goethe. Okay, perfect. And yeah, so I'd love to hear from you guys as we do it. And yeah, maybe while we do that, if you don't have anything, drop one book that you think's underrated. We'll have that as well here. Yes, a lot of people sharing their favorite books. And again, for anyone, if people are just joining, we're just rounding out the end of the live stream here. Probably going to be here for a few more minutes for sure, but the gardening won't do itself. I love it. But yeah, I really just wanted to reiterate my thanks to everyone for watching these videos, for being a part of this community, and I want to continue to make recommendation videos, and as well, Oh, I would love to see more deep dives into the classics. Yes, I'll definitely make sure to take a look at those as well moving forward. Um, some deeper recommendations and some more on the surface. I think the surface ones are a really good place to start because not everyone needs a super deep dive. We just some little taste of books that might be interesting. And then when we go a little bit deeper for people who have read them, and then eventually a lot of people seem to be very warm to the idea of a book club. So maybe that will be the long-term thing for people who really want to go deep. So I encourage everyone again to subscribe to the Substack if you're interested in checking out any of my writing or some of these deeper dives, because I'll definitely do some more like essay type deep dives there that are going to be more tailored for people who want to go a little deeper with books. Whereas on the YouTube, I think it's a great place to just get book recommendations in that. Yes, sorry, tangent here. Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. Oh, Arthur Miller is one of my favorites. I want to do a whole video on the best 20th century plays, mid 20th century plays. There's at least, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, and yeah, there's a bunch, honestly, that would qualify. The Iceman Cometh is another good one. Yeah, there's so many good ones there. So many good ones. Thank you for creating great content. Keep up the work. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the insights. You bring so much passion and insight. I'm excited to see your channel continue to grow. Thank you so much. Really kind. Yes, some other book recommendations here. Thanks for doing the live and congrats again on 10K subscribers. It's well deserved. Well, thank you so much. And you guys are really the ones who made this possible. Particularly just the people that liked and subscribed and watched these videos. And I really I'm just very blessed to be able to do something like this. And so God willing, this channel will continue to grow and we'll be able to talk much more about books, books you love, books that challenge you, books that are maybe ones that you wish you had read earlier. We'll be able to talk about books on a deep dive level, books on a recommendation level, and hopefully, not every video is going to be great. I apologize in advance for any missteps, any videos that maybe don't land as well as they're supposed to. But the intention of this channel here really is just to talk books, to go deep, and to go shallow too when needed, right? So that we can make this accessible for everyone. I want this to be a place, if you've never read a book, you feel, okay, I'm not going to be judged. I can come in as a brand new reader. And if you've read 10,000 books, you also hopefully can get some insights and a little bit more depth because we're all continuing to grow and continuing to learn more. So thank you very much for everyone for joining today. Thank you very much for the stream and videos and congratulations on the channel's growth. You guys are amazing. And so I'm going to wind down here right now at the end of this. And again, if you guys enjoyed this live stream and we want to do live streams in the future, maybe this is something we can make like a weekly thing or a monthly thing. If this is something you guys enjoy, I'd love to be able to connect more with you guys directly. So let me know in the comments to this video afterwards as well. But as we round out the end of this video here, let me just end by saying thank you so much and God bless. Take care.